Hello, hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to another installment of Cryptic Corner, where we explore entities of the unexplained, supernatural, paranormal, and hidden, the mysterious, the alien, the accursed, and the forbidden. I'm your host, Miss Bumblebee, in full leprechaun regale, because it is March 15th, 2 days before St. Patrick's Day, which is on a Monday this year, so go figure. And we are celebrating it today, and I'm dressed in my full St. Patrick's Day cosplay. And yes, there may be some of this up on my OnlyFans too. I don't know. Haven't shot anything yet, but you might be on the list to see it if you sign up for that. If you don't know how, BugBot drops a link. Anyway, back to the show. Cryptic Corner, yeah. So we did a poll. Because every year we sort of do like fairies or some kind of spring entity, something fairy adjacent, usually something Irish. But today we actually didn't have any Irish coming at you. We got Scottish again. We're doing 2 Scottish topics in a row because that's what the people are voting for. Hey, if you guys want me to visit Scotland and spend my time there, I'm all about it. Because last week we had Robin Redcap, which was a border fairy who lives on the border between Scotland and England on the Scottish side and dips his hat in red blood and everything. Anyway, if you want to know more about that, that's last week's episode. But this week's episode, we're talking about the Waterhorse. And it's not specifically Scottish, just the most famous one is Scottish. Oh, hello, my unfinished journey. Hail Nero, hail Bree, and hail Creative Cryptids. Yes. Good morning. Thank you for being here, and thank you so much for the donation. You don't know how much it means to me. Yeah, I am a true Scotsman, says Captive Dusk. Well, I believe you. So first thing I want to do is just kind of learn the origins of this creature. So what I've done is I found a nice video just kind of breaking down what a water horse is in folklore. Because before it was a cryptid, it was in folklore. You know, no doubt at all. Stop it. All right, let's see. Where are you, Waterhorse? Here we go. Okay, so we are looking at Fortress of Lugh, which is that's a Celtic god, by the way. He's the one with the cool ass spear called the Spear of Destiny. He was a really cool mythological figure. If I covered mythological figures on this channel, I might cover him, but I don't. Maybe I need another channel where I talk about gods and deities. Maybe. Yeah, but the primary one's the primary water horse is the Kelpie. But there are other water horses too that do similar things. This channel talks about mythology, so why do I even need to make a second channel where I talk about gods when Fortress of Lugh does it for me? But yeah, if you look through here, you know, ancient pets, that's Norse and Greenland, Celtic origins of hockey, all kinds of cool origins of Halloween. This is like a really fun page to learn about folklore and mythology, which is something that I do cover quite a bit. Goblins, yeah. But today, excuse me, we're going to be learning about the water horse with them. So let's hear what they have to say. Let's give them the floor. Let me know if you can hear this, by the way. No? Okay, hold on. Got to switch something over because I had to switch headphones because I'm wearing a hat and I can't wear a hat with my big headphones. So here I am with these little ones, and they are not set up. So just a second. Did that work?
Represented
Perfect.
Frequently in folklore across
Perfect.
Britain, Ireland, and beyond, the water horse is a creature of large range and ancient origin, with direct cognates found in Greek and Roman myth. But what really are these strange creatures of the rivers, lakes, and sea? Hi, I'm Kevin McLean. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and a big thanks to all my Patreon supporters. Perhaps the first thing that ought to be said about the water horse, the Kefil Dur, the Ech Ushke, all referring to the same creature, is that they are most generally thought to be creatures that no person ought to be playing with. They are potentially deadly, believed to kill people by drowning them in bodies of water. Kelpies are also likely to be included in this list, though often they appeared in folktales as somewhat less deadly than the Ech Ushke, being primarily associated with the stream.
Yeah, so I had to rope in the Epushka because Kelpies. While I was able to find them, we will get to like a real one true Kelpie encounter thing here later in the show. But why I explained this just to water horses is because the Kelpie is sort of the more benign version of it. Mostly the coastal regions had the more malevolent ones that would drag you into the ocean and drown you. But in the Midlands or Midlands, not the Midlands, in regions further away from the sea, I guess. In the interior of Scotland is where Kelpies were, the folklore comes from, and they weren't quite as deadly as their coastal cousins.
But they were dangerous nonetheless. Mm-hmm. Their particular power is that once a person tries to mount upon their back when they are in the form of a horse, the would-be rider becomes adhered to them, stuck to the horse like a fly upon a fly trap. They are unable to free themselves. Then, with its victim firmly attached, the water horse runs full gallop into the loch, river, or sea to drown them.
Yeah, this guy does great on the pronunciation, Suomi. He's got that all down. I guess you're on a mythology channel. That's something you pick up on. I'll never be able to get everything down. My tongue's just not that talented. It's too thick. My tongue. So I struggle to flex it and bend it in the way to say certain sounds, unfortunately. But I work with what I got, and I'm, having a thick tongue has its benefits. Again, I have an OnlyFans.
The waves. Often they appear as a black horse near the water, or emerging out of the water in mist. But they are also powerful shape changers that can take the form of other creatures, and even humans. There are many tales of them appearing as handsome young men to seduce a young woman, only to then drown and devour them.
Yes, but if you want AI video mill, don't worry. If you want me to see me tear one of those apart, that's what we're doing for the Sphinx section. So, if stick around for that, because that is AI nonsense. There's not AI art, but it's the AI voice, right? Reading it. But we'll get there when we get there. Yeah.
Beneath the waves. They also fool farmers by showing up and serving as laboring animals for a time, before luring the man upon their back after gaining his trust. In some way, these tales
It's an equine succubus with glue on its back, Al Trucker. You're catching on. I have a dumb American tongue. I can't roll my R's to save my life. Can you roll your L's? I think around here it's more about rolling your L's in El Paso than R's. They do roll their R's, but the L's, to me, it seems much more prominent. It's not really an L sound, though. It's yeah, sometimes it's there, and I don't even know what letter's making it. And I don't know I'm saying it wrong until I hear a native speaker say it.
To relate to random drownings, and were perhaps a way that people explained what had happened to someone after they found them floating dead in the water. But the water horse is a very ancient concept and features...
Ooh, yeah, Al, remember when I made that My Little Pony version of you on Maya's server? My Little Pony action figure? I made one for Maya and Tap too, obviously. But I made My Little Ponies of my friends.
Likely in Pictish art, but certainly it was very well represented in Romano-British art, likely reflecting an attachment to the representation of this creature by the local population, even at this early time. That virtually the same creature with the same name and characteristics exist in all the insular Celtic languages show that it was a creature with a common conception, at least in Britain and Ireland, during the Iron Age. Yet despite
we do have some Ireland, so suck it, haters. I am covering St. Patrick's Day Ireland stuff, so yeah, suck it. Suck it!
Fearsome reputation recorded in later folklore. Was there perhaps an earlier
and also, they're in Disney Princess Land because Elsa has a water horse that she rides. Yeah, so it's topical too.
Conception of the water horse that was perhaps less inclined to murder. An ancient Roman-era personal shrine recovered in Britain may lend us our earliest clue. The shrine, made primarily of tin and likely belonging to a native Briton, shows a god who seems similar in appearance to Roman depictions of Mercury. But this is no simple merchant god. Covering the shrine are many solar symbols, and above the idol of the god is the figure of Sol, the Roman sun god, with his whip. Yet most mysteriously of all is that this solar-aligned Mercury has one foot atop a dolphin and another foot atop a hippocampus.
That's badass. I want one of these. Can you get a replica of this thing? Because I'll put it right here on my desk. And we'll have hippocampus and dolphin worship under the light of Sol for many a moons.
The Roman representation of a waterhorse. The iconography, however, does not suggest a fearsome figure, but a benevolent one, likely with a bag in hand, who comes bearing gifts and perhaps with the light of the sun. Medieval myth speaks much about magical horses that can cross both land and sea. Most famous of these is the horse of Lug Lavada, said to have been obtained from Manannan Mac Lir, Eanver, meaning the foam of the wave.
Oh my god, you keep saying them freaking Celtic names, you're gonna make me swoon, mister. Love it.
Cross land and sea faster than the cold March wind, something repeated of many horses in later myth and folktales. But Manannan's horses
hippocampus is part of the brain. It's both.
Are elsewhere specifically linked to the waves of the sea.
Hippocampus regulates emotion in humans. Yeah.
And even the name of the horse itself relates to this. It would seem that only a water horse would possess the ability to cross both land and sea.
Well, I would call hippos amphibious mammals. A university for large, or a university dorms for large amphibious mammals could be called a hippocampus.
And also be compared to a wave. Gradlon, a legendary king of the Bretons, was likewise said to have a horse that could travel across land and sea and go into the sea. In a Fenian story, a horse of Abertha...
Is that related to Bran the Blessed? Is that the same figure in, from Celtic mythology in Ireland that's called Bran the Blessed? It sounds like a similar character. I don't know, though. What do you say, Branderwad? Yeah.
A son of Lug, transports the entire band of Finn McCool into the other world. In many folktales from Ireland in the 18th and 19th century...
Ooh, I love Finn McCool, too. Next St. Patrick's Day, we're going to do Irish Giants. So let's do that. Put it in stone. You know what? Put it in stone. We are doing for next St. Patrick's Day. We're going to get down. We're going to get dirty. We're going to bust into Finn McCool. We're going to do the Giants Causeway. We're going to talk about folklore. We're going to talk about modern sightings of giants, of Irish giants. That'll be our plan for next St. Patrick's Day. Hold me to that. If I come around next St. Patrick's Day, I'm like, what should we cover? Should we cover Cluricons or something like that? I need you all to just say, hey, no, you promised us Finn McCool. You promised us the Irish giants. So, yeah, bring it.
Some collected by Jeremiah Curtin and others. There are magical talking horses that have the ability to travel across the land and the sea, or leap to amazing heights and fly. They can travel to different lands with their riders on their backs, and even take the form of humans. What all these seem to have in common is that
people don't realize that about water buffaloes, that they like walk on the bottom of the ocean, or like the bottom of the ocean, the bottom of the billabong or the marsh or swamp that they're in, or bottom of the lake. They'll actually hide underwater from predators. It's really cool to see. People don't think about like ungulates, like buffalo holding their breath, but yeah, humans aren't the only mammals capable of that. And Artiodactyls obviously excel at it because, whales.
Magical horses had the ability to transport the riders not simply across the ground as a normal horse, but to other worlds. There is thus in them the quality...
You forgot billabong is a real word? Because you would have fillabong?
...of the shamanic horse, similar to Odin's Sleipnir, which can cross any boundary.
The son of Lug, It's like a G sound, sort of, but it's not as harsh as the anglicized version of it. So you want to say it like with sort of a soft G, but not the soft G that you're used to. It's like lug, like at the end. It's not g, but it's not j either. It's lug. It's yeah. That's what I was talking about. Some of these languages have sounds that I can't make properly.
But are these magical horses that can take people to far-off shores of the land of the eternal youth the same as the water horses that are also dreaded? They might be, or at least they might be closely related.
I always look at pictures of the horses like Sleipnir and the ones with the like 8 legs and stuff, and they never depict them in a way that would be beneficial to speed. Right? Even distribution would probably help a great deal for an equine to increase its speed. Something more akin to, well, it's fine if they leave just the 2 in the front and then they do an even distribution of doubled up legs in the back. As long as it's a pushing force that has the, because you don't want it to be a pulling force, because you see how a puppy runs when they're little and their back legs are faster than their front legs. That's what you'd have your horse doing. But I digress.
One folktale called Sean MacBreogan and the King of the White Nation. A fine local lord named Breogan finds a young horse near the water at high tide. He raises up the horse for 3 years and finds it to be a fine steed and brings it to a festival he hosts next summer, where horses are raced along the beach. Likely a Lunasa time festival, though the folktale doesn't specify. He invites all his neighbors to ride on the horse, but they decline, fearing the horse. And though
I'd get on that horse. I'd get glued to its back, and it can drag me into the water. If I'm gonna go out like young or younger, I'm not that young, but if I'm gonna be taken out before natural causes by something, freaking riding a water horse into the sea to my death is number one. What else could be cooler than that? That's a cool fucking way to die. Come on. That's a badass way to die. I mean, but I'm not picky. I'd be cool with getting eaten by a great white shark or something too. If I'm gonna go out, I want a cool way to die. It's like, that's why I identify with the idea of, if you're gonna, like, people. I used to, like, when I was driving, I would drive behind like the log trucks and stuff, and be like, yeah, this is what's it, like, Final Destination moment, and everybody in the car would be freaking out, be like, get out from behind here, what are you, crazy? And it's like, and you get mad at me for evoking Final Destination. It's like, if that's the way you're gonna go, right? You get killed, smashed by a log at high speed, you don't feel the pain, right? You're splattered instantly. So it's a less painful way to go, and it's freaking epic. People will never forget how your final demise. If you got dragged into the water by a water horse, same deal.
though the tale doesn't say so, they likely feared that it was a water horse. Finally, he mounts the horse himself, and the first thing it does is leap into the air and fly off over the sea. But in the tale, this horse does not drown him, but rather takes him to Tir Nanog, the land of eternal youth. Yet the land of youth is in some ways the land of the dead, and those who go there hardly ever come back, or if they do, they come back years later. So when Breogan manages to return home via the same horse, he is hardly remembered, for he has been gone for years, and everyone thought he was dead, drowned by the horse. This story indicates that these legendary horses that transport heroes to the other world are at least indistinguishable from the same Ech Ushke that drown people and are...
I'm going to try that again. Ech Ushke. Ech Ushke. Ech. Say it with me, Hive. Ech. Ech. Hard to see on the end. Ushke. Ech Ushke. Let me hear you say it. All right, that's all right. Ek. Yep, ek. Ushke. No, ushke. Good, you got it. Very good. Very good. I might have us repeat that at the end of the show.
Probably in origin the same. They are otherworldly beings that are able to transport people between worlds, and the boundary of the worlds is most often represented as the water, either moving across the water or indeed going beneath it.
Is it the water above, like in the Bible? But God separated. So the water horse is more powerful than the Abrahamic God because it can travel through his barrier of water.
Appears to be the same reason why the Romano-British figure of a god stands atop one. He is moving between worlds, something Hermes has the ability to do, perhaps bearing gifts from the land beyond. And the figure of the hippocampus.
And to be clear, it's the I don't want to, we would call it like a Greek god or whatever, Roman gods and things like that, but it's a Mediterranean folklore. Hermes is, and not the bureaucrat from Futurama.
May, to the local worshipper, reflect this transitory ability, just as a horse of Lugh or various horses of heroes in folktales, which are said to cross the sea to strange lands. But what happens if the rider fails his otherworldly journey? Perhaps the rider simply drowns. The entire process appears to relate to a journey into the otherworld, that is, a journey into the land of the spirits, the land of the dead, and the gods. Even when one succeeds in this journey, they might be gone a very long time.
So that'd be a cool work, like fictional tale, folk tale of someone who like lost their love or something, and so they traveled the shorelines in search of a water horse and finally captured one and to ride it into the underworld to rescue their lost love. That'd be a cool story.
Time, so that they are thought to be dead, even if they do not die. These spirits were likely not thought to be as malevolent as they are later portrayed to be, but are perhaps even the expression of local spirits of the lakes, rivers, and various coastal waters, and may have played some part in druidic practices regarding otherworldly travel. Spirit walking or projection is sometimes compared to riding a horse, and is thought by some to be the origin of Odin.
Do you think like Titty Mons had a water horse? Because he was like over the fins and stuff.
Odin's horse. But perhaps because the water horses resided in the water and perhaps governed that water, they were ascribed blame for anyone who happened to drown in that water. Even more so because they were connected with the idea of carrying people across or beneath it. If someone drowned mysteriously, it might be said that they drowned trying to ride a water horse. And from there it isn't hard to see how the idea of the terrible, murderous water horse arose. But as a transitional spirit between the world of the living and the other world, they might well have had an association.
Hey, I'm a transitional spirit too. Maybe I'm a water horse. Y'all think maybe I could be a water horse? I can make horse sounds. Yeah, I could be a water horse.
With death from the beginning, with transporting souls across the waves. When stories tell of water horses coming in disguise, trying to seduce young women in order to drown them, the notion is similar to various stories of the Dinashi. The underlying idea is a little different. A transit
Dinashi. Dinashi. Let's say that together, Hive. Dinashi. But I wonder if the she is spelled S-I-T-H, because that's how the Irish Celts would have spelled that. Dinashi. All right. Another water horse.
Spirit trying to lure one into the other world for them never to return. By the 18th and 19th century, the Waterhorse seems to have become an explanation for drownings or sudden disappearances
Ooh, that's a cool piece of
due to
art.
their earlier relation to otherworldly journeys and the realm of the dead. But in origin, the Waterhorse may not have been a
It reminds me of the Dead Marshes scenes from is that Fellowship of the Rings or the Two Towers? One of the Lord of the Rings movies where Gollum and Frodo and Sam are moving through the dead marshes, and they see the dead faces in the marshes, and it's like, oh, you go down and light a little candle of your own. Yeah.
fine creature that aimed to kill,
Dinoshi.
but a guardian
That's
spirit
good.
of the waters.
That's good, AR. Good job. Can I give AR stars? Maybe. So these stars are for AR. Nobody else steal them. There you go. That's for you.
And perhaps a guide who helped convey druids and Fili on meditative excursions into the otherworld in their quest for wisdom and guidance from the spirits, when they would ride atop the magical horses that would take them over land and sea to the land of Tir Nanog. Or maybe they were always murderous creatures. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, stand tall.
All right. So, again, that was Fortress of Loop. I'm going to subscribe because I really like this. I'm actually going to subscribe and turn on my notifications. Even not like he needs my my support, but he's got 242k subscribers with 151 videos. I have, well, nothing close to that. I have almost 1.3k subscribers, and I have like 600 videos. So there's that. Fortress of Luke, you're doing it right, and your videos look based. So let's if you're interested in that in mythology, go subscribe there. But so that's the groundwork, that's the framework for the Waterhorse. But you say, Bree, this is Cryptic Corner. We talk about things that people are claiming are real today. The mythology is not that. People do claim that fairies are real, but I've never seen anybody claim a Waterhorse is real. You might be thinking that, but you'd be wrong, because the Brothers Jackson, True Scary Stories, has brought us a scary story about an encounter with a Kelpie, and we're going to listen to it. Let me just have a quick browse of this channel. The Brothers Jackson is videos is a channel of true scary stories curated by a British storyteller and aspiring writer, specializing in UK scary stories, but not afraid to venture into the abyss of horror in other forms. Most of the stories I narrate will be exclusive stories you won't find anywhere else. However, I may narrate the odd popular creepypasta or true scary story if I find it particularly chilling. All right, so let's dive into this, see what the Brothers Jackson are going to bring to us and put on our plate today regarding the Waterhorse. I'm digging that jam though. Creepy and spooky. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Whoa, 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 whoa. Did anybody get that reference? Did anybody get my Goosebumps series reference? So that's what that reminds me of. It reminds me of the Goosebumps intro.
This is something that happened to me and my older brother years ago when we were younger. I've always been reluctant to talk about it, due mainly to the fact that the people I have decided to tell never believed me, but...
Robert Madewell, I appreciate your effort, right? I appreciate that. Everybody's trying to say this stuff with me. It's fun to try to say these weird words.
I'm hoping you guys here may understand it differently. We were born and raised in Scotland, in the lowlands, near the border between Ayr and Dumfries. Our family had lived there for generations, and as such, we almost had a natural knowledge of the local area and knew all the best and most beautiful spots. This happened back in the 1980s. I was about 11 and my brother would have been around 16. It was the summer holidays, and as such, in Scotland, the weather was shit. However, being Scottish meant that a heavy downpour didn't deter us from going out and enjoying ourselves, especially in a time before mobile phones and tablets. My brother woke me up one morning at about 6 AM, tossing a waterproof coat onto my face and shouting at me in his usual overzealous manner. He said we were going for a hike for the day and...
So, I lost my train of thought. Sorry, I had something else over on this other screen that was happening that was kind of distracting me, but that's all right. I just realized, and I wanted to say before I forget, that yesterday was Pi Day, and I didn't even say anything to anybody. So, if you celebrate Pi Day by having pie, yeah, happy Pi Day. I hope you enjoyed your pie. I did not have pie. I wish I did.
A smile crept across my face. I loved the hikes and the antics me and my brother got up to when on them. We left the house with slices of burnt toast in our mouth.
Hey, beautiful friends. Thank you, Captive Desk Dave. Gifted 5 channel memberships, 5 new Hive members. Kalasia was gifted a membership. Why? Because Weed Bro was gifted a membership. Bridge the Divide was gifted a membership. Kaz was gifted a membership. And Nitty was gifted a membership. So welcome. Welcome to the Hive. Freaking enjoy leaving your Bigfoot tracks all over my live chat. Because I live for it. And also, member for 13 months. Ember has been with us for over a year now. The Hive has the best words, the most mysterious too. I love learning new words. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate that, because right now I just started my new job, so I'm kind of freaking broke at the moment. So any little bit that you can donate to help me out to get through the next few weeks until I get paid will be so appreciated.
And began hiking west out of our village. In no time at all, we were surrounded by the serene isolation of the Scottish wilderness and on a trail that had trees looming over us either side, blotting out the grey sky above and casting a dark canopy of shadows. We had hiked down this muddy dirt trail for what felt like an hour and the rain was still pouring. My brother decided to take us off trail, which wasn't abnormal. I understand that in some of...
So I don't know, is anybody in the Hive out there like a regular hiker? I used to hike regularly when I was in my 20s. Maybe into my 30s a little bit, but I haven't done any serious hiking in almost 10 years at least. I'm really out of shape for it too, but I used to love to hike, love to go to the mountains, the Ozarks, the Appalachia, Great Lakes area, just hiking all over. My favorite place to hike that I've ever been was Elephant Rock in the Ozarks. Beautiful place. But when you go off trail, you need to make sure you know what you're doing, right? You need to make sure you know what's going on, where you are, even when you're off trail. If you can't define directions and know which way you're going, yeah, don't go off trail, because you're just going to put yourself and perhaps others in danger.
The large national parks in the US, it isn't a good idea to stray off the established trails, but here in Scotland, it isn't as much of a big deal, nor is it as dangerous. We clambered into the undergrowth, tearing our way through the thick vines and heavy leaves as kids do, and came out into an opening. I could see by the look in my brother's eyes that he had been here before, and another untidy trail that was to our left confirmed this to me. My brother beckoned me towards him and pointed ahead, pulling me.
I'm going to take a quick intermission. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. Something has come up that I need to just deal with real quick, and I'll be right back. All right. Thank you for sticking with me. Sorry about that. Just had to
to his
step away
field
for a
of
minute.
view.
Oh, so I just had to step away for a minute. I appreciate everybody sticking around. That'll be, of course, edited out on my broadcast.
From where I was him and pointed ahead, pulling me to his field of view. Beckoned me towards him and pointed ahead, pulling me to his field of view. From where I was stood, you could see a bed of water. It could have been a puddle, yet the water was crystal clear. Again, this wasn't abnormal, as the Scottish lowlands are full of lochs, ponds, rivers and streams, and during childhood, we found ourselves stumbling across.
I would love to go visit those lochs, ponds, and streams of the Scottish Highlands. I would love, or lowlands. I would love to. They run down from the Highlands too. I would love to follow a stream or a rivulet or whatever up to its source in the Scottish Highlands. That'd be a fun hike. We're so close to the Rockies now, Bree. Those are mountains. I'm actually in the Franklin Mountains right now, John. I've been up in the Franklins a bit. I'm just honestly, it's just weather that's keeping me from going up there. But there's only a little window of time seasonally that you have where it doesn't get like deadly hot in the midday here in El Paso. Like the deadly hot to be up like out in the wilderness. But I digress. I will eventually make my way out there to see the bighorn sheep. That's what I want to see. They're here, and before I go, I want to go to where they are and see them because they just brought them back. There haven't been bighorn sheep in Texas in like 75 years before this. They were wiped out of in the state, locally extinct, and they brought them back, and I want to go see them. What's going on?
Cross them regularly. We headed towards it, but the way was blocked off by some pretty thick broken tree trunks and many brambles and thorns. My brother asked me to go through and check out the mysterious body of water to see what it was, as I could fit through the gap beneath the trunks, and it saved him the hassle of hacking us a trail for no reason. I agreed, relishing the opportunity to lead some of my own adventuring, and got straight on my hands and knees, crawling under the rotting bark up to my chest in thick, brown mud. It took me a few minutes, and I was nicked by a few thorns here and there, but for the most part, I managed to slither out unscathed. From where I was stood, you could see down to this small pond, about 15 feet long and 11 feet wide, from a small, rocky balcony. There was an...
I wouldn't even call that a pond. 15 by 11? That's... I guess it's smaller than my bedroom. My bedroom's like, I don't know, maybe 12 by 12? 12, or, yeah, probably 12 by 13. So, yeah, that's not a big pond for a waterhorse to dwell in.
Almost man-made looking trail that wound down to the shore of the pond, the water of which was as clear as a crystal, to use a cliche simile. My brother shouted through, asking what it looked like. I found myself ignoring him. The scene before my eyes was like nothing I had ever seen, and I found myself enchanted. I walked down the trail. My brother's shout seemed to fade out. I lost sight of the pond as I passed behind a single layer of evergreen trees that followed the windy trail down. As the pond came back into view, I inhaled sharply at the sight of a huge, black stallion. It was one of those steeds that had a thick mane down the back of its legs, and the whole beast was dripping wet, as if it had climbed out of the pond moments ago.
Maybe it was like cooling off in the water. You know, maybe it's like, horses will do that. They're just like any other animal. When they get hot, they will go into the water and chill and cool down.
It must have, because I didn't see it anywhere else. It was featureless except for its glowing red eyes and one pulsing vein running down its nose. It was a terrifying beast that would usually have me running for the hills. However, for some reason, I found myself walking towards it with...
That's the thing, Dave. Yeah, that's not enough pond for one horse, even especially a big, powerful horse like what he's talking about here.
One hand outstretched. It neighed and reared up, seeming to become excited at my approach. I drew closer to it, its eyes like hot coals burning me, sucking me into its demonic grasp, and its hair like seaweed. I was close when I felt a heavy hand yank me back and my brother wail, "No!" He covered my eyes and started shoving me back up the trail.
That's some bird box shit right there.
Screaming at me not to look back. He pretty much threw me back through the bush, scratching my face, and he came through himself seconds later, picking me up and throwing me back onto the trail we had come from. We ran all the way home and told no one. We spoke about it to each other, and my brother admitted that he had seen it too, and that he thought it was a kelpie, a supposed to be mythical creature from Scottish lore. And that
supposed to be mythical, but you just encountered one. Doom, doom, doom. Or maybe it was somebody's horse that was coming for a drink and a cool down in a little pool of water. I bet that's a possibility too.
If I had touched it, according to legend, I would have stuck to it and been dragged to the depths of the pond. That was the first time I'd ever heard of a kelpie, and I know now the stories are more than just that. I think even stranger than my encounter with a supposedly mythological creature is the pond itself. We went back multiple times and never found it again, despite finding the first clearing. Years later, we Google Earth searched the surrounding area and turned up nothing, making the whole experience even creepy.
Oh my god, is that my brother? Dustin, are you out there in my live chat? Hey, babe. Good to see you. I'm doing Leprechaun. Look, check me out. Oh, hold on. And there's Minnow, too. I'm a leprechaun today. Aren't I cute?
Yeah. Hey, guys. Brothers Jackson here. That was one true scary kelpie encounter. I really hope you enjoyed that video. I think hopefully this week, probably Tuesday or Thursday.
So Dustin, the person in the chat there, is who would have pulled me back from climbing onto the back of a kelpie. He actually pulled me back from jumping off of a castle into a river once. So, and hello, Minnow. Yeah, I got to tell you about something that happened. Was it last weekend? Has it been that long ago? Anyway, you'll get a laugh out of it. I'll talk to you after the show. It was fun. You want to go back and see the Homeland too, Captive Dusk? Yeah, I would love to go see Scotland. Love to go to Ireland. Would love to get dragged to the depth by a water horse too. Just putting that out there. If there's any water horses that want to drag me to my doom, like that's an awesome and a cool way to go out.
I want to be uploading 4 true scary cryptid stories. I actually made a proper rookie error on that. I recorded it, started editing it. I was like, oh, this sound quality sounds a bit terrible. And I'd forgot to change the settings on my software to record from a proper mic, and it had just used my laptop mic.
Oh, using your laptop mic or your camera mic, and you think everything's going good. That sucks. I have so many videos, especially older videos. A lot of them are now set to private, but where my audio is just horrid. I've had some. My first videos were just terrible. So keep it up. You'll get there. How many subscribers does this channel have? The Brothers Jackson. They're about the same size as my channel. Yeah, they got a lot less videos, but they have about the same. Well, I have a bit more subscribers, but not much. What else do they have on their playlist here? I'll close that out. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That's up next. We'll get there. Don't worry. All right. Let's look and see. The true scary Reddit stories. How do you know a story from Reddit is true, though? Gargoyles. A scary gargoyle story by the Brothers Jackson videos. So we've got some gargoyles, black hole photograph. I almost said photography. These are all old. They haven't made anything in half a decade. My experience with DMT, that'd be interesting. 3 poltergeist stories. I love a good poltergeist story. You know what I like better than poltergeist story, though, is poltergeist videos. Give me a poltergeist video, and I will spend freaking 20 minutes for every 3 minutes of footage examining it, trying to figure out how they're doing it. How they're making the cabinets open and all the dishes fly out. Usually it's wire work. But, yeah, I like figuring out hoaxes. Yeah. But they have other stuff on here, too, like attacked by bears and things like that. Phobia stories. Anyhow. So, yeah, this is the Brothers Jackson. You know what? I'm going to subscribe. Why not? Give them some love. Love from the Hive. All right. Well, this one actually came up sort of short. I was hoping we'd have another, 15 minutes or so of content. But that's okay. Sometimes that happens. There just wasn't. There's not a lot on this topic in modern times. There's a lot of it in historic times, right? Like in a lot of folklore and old legends about this. But you don't see a lot of this stuff happening in modern times, because it's not a common thing to say, oh, we found someone floating in the pond, so they must have been dragged in by a water horse. We have other speculations about that. Well, I'm glad you got here, Aunt Jer, because you know who suggested this? Who suggested this topic? Aunt Jer. Aunt Jer's the one who had that put on the poll. And you can do that too. All you got to do is go to the most recent poll on the Live from the Hive channel and put down on the cryptid poll what cryptid you'd like me to cover, or what cryptic creature, I guess, cryptic entity. It doesn't always have to be a cryptid, because we cover ghosts and aliens and stuff here too. But whatever you want me to cover on that, and you just put the name of it down, whether it's a isolated incident or a overarching folklore or local legends. Let me know, and I will look into it. And if I think there's enough there to sink my teeth into, I will add it to the poll. We're going to be adding. I mean, again, just to let you know that the poll for next week's already picked. Someone, remember who it was? Someone suggested Wendigo, and we're going to put that on the poll. So Wendigo will be on the poll next week. If you're interested in seeing some Wendigo, I'll probably try to find Wendigo videos, like people claiming Wendigo encounters. And we'll probably go. There'll be like a playlist, I'm sure. So I like to mix things up. I'll do a video do a cryptic corner where I, listen to someone tell a narrative, tell a story. I'll listen to or watch a video where someone visits the location of the sighting, or I will cover a series of videos and clips and photos and stuff of alleged sightings. It depends on what's available. Yeah, surely there was a water horse in the creek we spent all summer in. Yeah. When I was a kid, there was down the hill from my parents' house, there was a creek. It was like on the edge of the wilderness back then, but now it's developed. They've built houses and stuff down there now. But it was like sort of on the edge of the wilderness when we were children. So we would walk down and spend our summer days in this little forested. I don't know what you would call it. It was like, so there was you go down and there was people's houses, but then there was the creek, and then beyond the creek there was a little forest, and then within the forest it was an uphill slope. There were natural springs that flowed down, but there were cliffs and little caves and stuff. Hours of fun. Yeah. But that's something I've considered covering too. I don't know where I'd cover that, but I want to cover Ted the Caver at some point, if that's a thing that we can do. Ted the Caver was like the OG creepypasta about a guy's journey into an unexplored cave and what befell him. Maybe we'll find a place for that. I don't know if that fits in Cryptic Corner or not. There is allusions to an entity there, but I don't know. There's lots of cave stuff, though. Of course, we've been to Lovelock Cave in the past, where the red-headed giants lived. But yeah, it was a great place to spin cryptid yarns. It really was. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. All right, I'm going to take my intermission now. Oh, hold on. I need to close out Cryptic Corner. Sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So do you believe in water horses? Do you think that this mythology has any truth to it? If so, what sort of species might a water horse be? Let me know in the comments down below. And please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time.